Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Perfect Cherry Blossom. Last time we did a mechanics episode, and if you don't know anything about the cherry system in this game, I would recommend watching it, or you can kind of look at it on the wiki. So, let's go ahead and go. I decided that for this Let's Play I wanted to use Reimu B. Alright, so there are actually a few things that I forgot to mention in the previous episode, and I kind of want to go over them now. So, the first of the two things I forgot to mention is that you can get Cherry Plus from canceling boss attacks. When you cancel a boss attack, you get these things called Cherry Items. Not Cherry Items, you get these things called Star Items, and they will refill your Cherry Gauge, which is very useful. Another thing is that there is a slight frame of invincibility after you finish a boss attack, and you can use that to your advantage in a few points. Alright, so here is Cherno. She is back as our mid-boss. So I'm kind of shooting unfocused right now because I want to get about 30,000 or so Cherry Plus. Because I want to make sure that after I finish this boss attack, I can get a border immediately, because I want to be able to PSC the items that spawn after this. Yeah. Another thing to note is that boss movement is not random in this game, like it was in EOSD, so the bosses will actively follow you, which is actually a really good thing. It's something that I wish Zune hadn't taken away in the UFO. Alright, and then you can delay the killing of this last fairy, because during dialogue, items will automatically collect, regardless of whether you have full power or not, so you can use that to your advantage. Alright, now for our Stage 1 boss, Letty Whiterock. She is a Winter Spirit, so her first non can kind of be trivialized if you misdirect her Mist Cloud to right above her. The first spell, Lingering Cold, it's kind of like Rumia's Nightbird in the sense that it has aim stuff. There is a bit of variance in it because there's kind of like these little clusters that will come at you, so just be watchful of them and everything will be fine, as my catchphrase goes. Alright, and then for the final spell, this spell is a memorization spell. However, keep in mind that the direction that you misdirect her at the beginning will change it, so it just depends on how you move. So keep that in mind. And there we go, that was Stage 1. Alright, time for Stage 2. So Stage 2 is a little weird because there is a weird gimmick to this stage. You see those like little rings at the top of the screen? That symbolizes the enemies, and it'll let you know when the enemy spawns and where it will spawn. When it starts to turn yellow, that means an enemy's about to spawn. So if you're just learning this stage, then it kind of helps you kind of get a feel to where the enemies are what the enemies are gonna do. But really, all of this first half of the stage is basically just streaming. Except for this part, but these things despawn before it's over. Now what I did there was I kind of misdirected those green things to the right because there's going to be like an explosion thing right there, and I want to kind of clear up the side of the middle of the screen so it makes it easier for me to dodge those explosions. You might have noticed that for some reason Chen is able to use those rings. You would have thought that those rings were only used to tell when an enemy is about to spawn, but apparently they can also be used by the boss to spawn bullets. Yeah, weird. Alright, so this second half of the stage is going to put into use a technique that I like to call U-streaming. So what U-streaming is where you move in a U shape so that you can dodge aimed streaming stuff and kill enemies and POC. So as you can see, I'm kind of moving in the shape of the letter U, and it allows me to kill all of these enemies while dodging their streaming stuff and POCing. Yeah, and you'll see this again in Stage 3. Alright, and now for the end of the stage. You can kind of relax because all of these bullets that are about to spawn are not aimed at you, they're aimed around you. So you can just kind of stay in one spot. And then for the end of the stage, all the bullets are aimed at you, so you can just sidestep. And everything will be just fine. Alright. Now for the boss, Chin. She is back for more, so let's see what she has in store for us. Alright, this first spell. Ugh. So this first spell is a little annoying because she will shake the screen. What I like to try to do is kind of gauge whether I'll be safe in the middle or not, and I'll retreat if I see that I'm not going to be safe. It can be really disorienting when the screen just suddenly shakes, but you just gotta get used to it. Alright, for this second spell, it's memorization, but there's slight variance in how the bullets spawn. So, it's not like completely the same every time, but there is a key point in this spell that you have to know. This wave right here, you have to dodge it in the left, not in the middle, because if you dodge it in the middle, you'll probably die, unless you really know what you're doing or get lucky. Alright, and now for the final spell, which is a little annoying because she'll start moving around the screen a lot. Focus on safety more than killing it fast, unless you really just want to get things done as fast as possible. If you can see that you're about to get walled, don't hesitate to stay away from the boss in order to preserve your life. If you're a homing shot, this thing will be a lot easier because you can just stay away from the boss the entire time and then do damage on her. And now for stage 3. Alright, so this stage is really cool. It's also home of my favorite boss. Well, I guess, yeah, she is my favorite boss. And she's also my favorite character in the series. Alice is awesome. So this Spiralmon spell is a little weird. It's memorization, except the spiral will spawn at a different angle every time, and they will also overlap, so there is variance in that sense. Alright, and now for the Ustreaming thing I was talking about. So we're gonna do more Ustreaming. Just make sure that I can kill these enemies and POC and kind of keep track of everything, and then there we go. Simple. Was actually not as simple as it seems. It took me a while to learn that. Alright, now for this pattern. This pattern is kind of static and it's kind of not static. It depends on how high she's on the screen. So if she's like low on the screen for a wave, it can make it a little harder to dodge. I'm gonna wait to cancel this when the bullets are on screen so I can get star items, because I want to make sure that I can get a border after this spell card. You want to make sure you can get a border right after this spell card ends, trust me. Alright, now this spell is stupid because those lasers can kill you before the hitbox spawns, so you can essentially die to nothing. The important thing is to try to stay unfocused, because what you want to do is you want to be able to kill the dolls before they can fire a lot of their bullets. Alright, so yeah, now that I have a border, I'm able to kill these and get the items without having to POC. That's why I wanted the border. The key to that second half of the stage is memorize wherever the big spell circle enemies are going to spawn and learn where they move so you can kill them before they fire. And that was stage 3. It's a little intimidating if you're starting out, but everything has a rhyme, everything has a reason, and everything has a method. Now for the coolest boss, in my opinion. Alice is awesome. There's no better way to describe her. So at the beginning you might have noticed that I was unfocused and right under her. That's because Reimu B does more damage if you're unfocused and shotgunning the boss, so keep that in mind. Now this spell is like Rumia's first non. It's a bunch of different sets that are randomly rotated. So you're not going to get the same order every time. All you have to do is just play this a ton until you've memorized about every combination. Yeah, once you get used to it and have played enough, you'll kind of subconsciously learn how to do everything. So it's like half memo, half random. But it's a cool spell. Now the trick to this spell is you want to make sure that you don't bottom hug, because if you bottom hug, it's really easy to get walled, because these bullets will expand the farther they go down the screen. So just stay high, damage her, and she doesn't have too much health on that, so that tends to go down really fast too. Alright, for this non-spell, if you wanted to unfocus to get Cherry Plus, I wouldn't recommend doing it while she fires these waves, because it's kind of hard to dodge these while unfocused. And there we go. This spell is Memorization, although I swear it has some variance to it. Like, I don't fully understand where the variance is, even though I played this millions of times, but it feels like it's like slightly different every time. I can only imagine it's the angle that she spawns the rings in or something like that. Anyway, for the last spell, get positioned to the top right of the screen. That way you can misdirect the first wave and then quickly move down before you get trapped. And yeah, this spell is an intimidation spell. She will try to actively wall you with the yellow stuff. If you're a homing shot, I would recommend moving around the screen a lot in order to get away from the walls. But I'm just going to be aggressive on this because I want to kill it as soon as possible. I know I said earlier that it's good to try to play it safe and move around the screen, but I really don't feel like moving around the screen a lot during that spell card specifically because I don't have homing, and it would last way too long, and it would even be more dangerous, I think, unless I had homing. Alright. Now for the stage that catches everyone off guard when they start this game. This stage is intimidating, but it's got a secret. It's secretly just all memorization. Like, literally, everything in this stage except for the mid-boss and boss fights is memorization. So you just have to learn the route. Yeah. It's kinda silly. It's a pretty badass stage though if you're doing score runs. But for all intents and purposes, we're surviving this time around. Alright, so for this part, I start on the left and slowly move to the right, POC, and then make my way back to the left again so that I can rinse and repeat. Alright, now I want to get myself to the left of the screen because I want to start killing these cross fairies. Now these cross fairies are jerks because they will wall you if you don't kill them instantly. If you're a homing shot, you can get away, or if you're Sakia B, you can get away with staying to one side of the screen, but because I am not, I have to be a little aggressive. As you can see, they're already starting to spawn a lot of bullets, so I'm trying to make quick work of them so I don't get walled. Yeah, it's an annoying section. These fairies won't fire, well they actually will fire, but if you don't shoot them, then they will like wait a bit and then start firing aimed green stuff. So you can opt out of shooting these fairies if you want, but I would recommend shooting them. I would recommend shooting all of these fairies actually until the very end. Yeah. I'd recommend, yeah. So here's about when I stop shooting if I'm doing survival. So these bouncy fairies right here, I want to not shoot them because they're kind of crazy. They are all aimed, and I will kill the second wave, but if you try to kill both waves, it's like you're dodging aimed stuff, and then you have to dodge more aimed stuff, and you have to move so much that it becomes really wonky. Oh, now for the mid-boss. Alright, so the trick to this mid-boss is, during her little random spam that she's about to do, don't hesitate to leave the center if you have to survive. Which I'm going to do because I don't feel safe. Alright, I'm kind of getting myself too far to the left, but I can kind of make my way back to the middle and finish her off. Alright, now for this section. This is a section that's kind of hard to learn if you're starting out. The trick is you have to know which enemies you can kill and which ones you can't. So after those purple ring fairies have spawned, I've stopped shooting because these are the ones that you don't want to kill. But since I'm at the very end of the section, I'll kill the very last wave so I can get their items. Now, time for the second phase of cross fairies. These ones are easier than the first because they only fire down, but make sure that you kill them because 1, they drop tons of items, and 2, they can wall you if you don't finish them off. Alright, now for this section. So this section might be a little annoying for you at first because it can be a little hard to get the items. You can bomb to get these items, or if you have a border, that's really convenient. There is a way to get all these items, though, but it's a very complex scoring technique, and I'm not going to be demonstrating it because I don't really feel like risking death for this. Anyway, all it is streaming, so just make sure you don't stream too fast and everything will be just fine. I love that catchphrase. Alright, now for the end death fairy. You want to make your way to the side and then back into the middle. There we go. And we're at the boss after that long stage of memorization. Whew. Alright, so you might notice that I'm about 24,000 cherry plus. I'm gonna start unfocusing shooting a lot on the very first boss non because I'm gonna prepare myself for a cheese strat. Remember when I mentioned border invincibility and how you can skip through bullets? Yeah, you can do that for one of these attacks. So anyway, let's introduce our boss before we get into all that. So here is Lunasa. She is a musician. She is part of the Prism River Sisters, and she's not the only one that's going to appear. There are 3 sisters. The one on the left is Lyrica, and the one on the right is Merlin. Their boss fight will start off with a solo appearance. So, since I'm Reimu, I'm going to be fighting Lunasa solo. If you were Marissa, you would be fighting Lyrica solo, and if you were Sakuya, you'd be fighting Merlin solo. Yeah, so this is kind of a weird gimmick fight. So as I said, we're going to be starting with Lunasa, and I'm going to misdirect her first non at the top because if you do that, it makes it easier to dodge these things. I will slowly start moving down, but I'm going to try to stay as high as I can for the most part because I want to be able to make sure that I don't get walled at the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and finish her off and then get a border on this cancel. And then I can skip through those bullets. So that's what I was talking about. You might notice I didn't die. And that's because I got the slight frame of invincibility that you get when the border ends. So I didn't break the border, I didn't die, and I guess it's technically surviving. Some people see it as a bit cheap, but honestly, I use it anyway because if you really think about it, you're still going to get invincibility regardless of whether you get hit or not, so I like to make use of it, and it's kind of satisfying and cool to do as well. Alright, so now we're back at a solo appearance, and what I forgot to mention is that the boss that you will fight during the solo appearance depends on who you shoot the most during the first spell. I shot Lyrica the most because I want to make sure that I fight Lyrica because she is the easiest of the solo bosses for the mid fight. Yeah. This spell is not too hard, but you have to make sure that you're not too much, you have to make sure that you're a little bit aggressive, because if you're not, you could get pushed down to the bottom and die, and that would be very tragic. Alright, and now the bosses are all going to come together in a triad. They're all gonna work together now. This spell is the first of the last 2 spells. It's the easy one, although don't underestimate it. If you want, you can try to shoot on focus for Cherry Plus. I'm not gonna do that, although I should do that because I kind of messed up my border route. Yeah, I messed up my border route, so I'm not gonna get to showcase a trick that I like to do in Stage 5. Oh well. Anyway, this last spell's a jerk. It's a jerk. Alright, I got really good RNG. Sorry, I wanted to talk, but I really wanted to make sure that I could capture it, so I had to focus. Since we're done with the spell, I'll go ahead and explain my trick. What I like to do is I like to stay on the left side of the screen and just try to hold my ground. Occasionally, you'll have to move to the right because you might get trapped. So, yeah, it's an annoying spell card. It's killed so many of my score runs. Anyway, now we're in Stage 5. We've come a long way. Alright, so normally what I would have liked to have done was I would have liked to have gotten a border. Well, I would have liked to have been really close to a border, but my Cherry Plus is low, so I'm going to have to miss items. So yeah, this section is a section you want to border on. You want to start in the middle and then slowly move to the left, and then kind of sneak your way towards the middle again and then move left again. It's a streaming section. It has a ton of items too. If you plan your borders right, you can get those items. But yeah, I failed. But it's okay, because, I mean, I still have tons of resources anyway, and it's not like it's a score run anyway. All I hope is that I can get my Cherry Plus correct for the boss, because there is something about the boss fight I want to showcase with border invincibility. I don't think I'll be able to, though, but we'll see. Anyway, this section right here, I like to kind of stick to one side a bit. That way I can kind of help prevent myself from getting walled. And now for the mid-boss. Alright, this is Yomu, a fan-favorite character. She's kind of a cool character. You can completely trivialize her non-spells by learning how to misdirect them. Alright. Now for the spell card. The spell card is a little annoying. What I like to do is I like to try to shotgun a bit at the beginning. And then I'll move to the right to follow her. And then I'll go back and finish her off. I wouldn't recommend this with a weak shot. This is something I only do with Reimu B and Marissa A because they can kill it off really fast. If you're a different shot, I would recommend maybe staying to one side and playing it safe. Alright. And now for the boss appearance. Alright. Wow, I got max resources. I always love it whenever I get max resources, because it just looks pretty to have all those stars on the player and bomb stock. Alright, now for the stage 5 boss. This is a really cool fight, although it's kind of challenging. It's not as hard as Sakuya, but she's got some pretty insane attacks. What I'm doing right now is you might notice that I'm in the top right of the screen. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to position myself for a trick. I want to misdirect this non-spell. You have to do it a bit differently than if you were to misdirect the mid-boss, because it spawns differently. So I like to stay in the top right and then kind of move down. I hope I made sense. I don't know if I am or not, but oh well. Alright. Now for this dastardly spell. Alright, this spell is annoying. I planned a border. This is the trick I was talking about. I planned it so that I would have a border at the beginning, and there is a reason. This wave right here likes to wall. Oh, man. Never mind. Okay, so I couldn't do the trick. I died too fast. What I was going to do there was I was going to bypass that wall by using my border invincibility. It's how I do this spell, but I got the border a little too... I got it a little too late, and because of that I was unable to do the trick. So the bullets kind of reached me before I was able to kind of clear them. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult spell. I mean, I kind of expected to fail it. I'm impressed I made it this far without a mistake, but oh well. Alright, now for Otherworldly Attachment. This spell is weird because she'll kind of gather up the bullets and aim them at you. What I like to do is I kind of like to misdirect the aim stuff and then kind of make my way to dodging the balls. I've seen people go like really high on the screen to dodge, but I personally just prefer staying low. I don't know, I think my way might not be the safest, but it's just how I've always done it, so it's just how I'm going to do it. Alright, how am I gonna do this? Okay. Sorry, I was just thinking to myself. Okay, so for this spell, what you want to do is you want to... basically, it's aim stuff and then stuff coming from behind. So just kind of slowly stream across the screen. When you get about to this area, then start to restream. It can be a little annoying to damage the boss. You'll just have to take it slow and be patient. It doesn't have that much HP, though. Alright, now for the final spell. This spell is dumb. Like, it's not too bad, but at the same time, it's pretty bad. Like, I don't really, like, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to use the slowdown to your advantage to dodge the bullets, but I find that sometimes, like there, I get myself in some really stupid situations, and it doesn't feel like a very fair attack sometimes. It's just not a spell that I really like. It's troublesome. Anyway, we are about to reach stage 6. We've come a long way. You might notice I have around 40,000 cherry plus. I intentionally focused a lot during the last 2 spells because I wanted to make sure that I can have high cherry plus, because I want a border on this stage. Alright. Now this is the hardest thing that PCB has to offer in terms of survival. Oh my god, I actually captured it. Okay, so yeah, it's a crazy random spam section. What I always do is I plan to have a border there, that way if anything goes wrong, I'll just have the border to save me. Thankfully, I managed to capture it this time. Oh man. Sucks that I didn't capture Yomu's first spell, because if I had captured her first spell, then this run wouldn't have had any mistakes going into Yuyuko, and that would have been really epic. Anyway, Yomu is back. This spell is just memorization. It's just learn the safe spots, and you'll be good. Alright. Now for the final boss. So I actually didn't even talk about the plot this whole time. So I guess I'll mention the plot since we've gone this far. I apologize for that. What really happened was I was kind of getting a little picky about my performance on these LPs. So this isn't the first take I've done. So yeah, so I was kind of rushing the intro a little bit because I just kind of wanted to get back into the game. So in my rush, I forgot to kind of mention the plot a bit. So what happened was Gensokyo's spring was stolen, and this is the culprit. Yeah. So basically, she has stolen the spring because she wants to resurrect a tree for some really stupid reason, and we have to fight her to return the spring. So let's just go ahead and fight. This is a cool fight. It is really elegant, but it's also very memorization. It's a lot different than Remelia. While Remelia kind of relied on RNG and stuff like that, this fight is almost completely static. And that is really nice, because it means that she is a very learnable fight. Alright, so for the first spell, make sure to go to the left on the first wave and not the right, because if you go to the right, you're going to get hit by the laser. And then on the second wave, you want to go to the right instead of the left, and just rinse and repeat. It should go down in about 3 or 4 waves. And you can finish it off by kind of shotgunning, and there you go. Now for this non-spell, what I like to do is I like to start in the middle and wait for her to fire her first bubble wave. And then immediately I will go to the left of the screen, and I will start streaming. And I will try to hesitate so that I don't move too much to the right too fast. Because I want to try to do as much damage. One thing about Yuyuko is that her fan allows you to damage her even when you're not under her. So that means that you can kind of finish things off even when you're not under her, which is really nice. Although she takes less damage when you're not shooting at her directly, so keep that in mind. This spell is memorization. So what I like to do is I like to do that. Then I go to the right and go under this bubble. Alright, and then this is the key point. I go left here, and then kind of go under there. I kind of sneak under there. And then I'll have to go back under this bubble. Sorry, it's hard to describe these things. I'm hoping that you just kind of watch rather than listen to my words, because yeah, do what I do, not what I say, I guess. Alright, this non-spell is a little confusing when you're starting out, but basically the whole premise is that the knives are static and the bubbles are aimed at you. If you're in the middle, it's really easy to get walled by the knives, so I go to the corner, the right corner specifically. The thing is that you can still do damage to her when you're not under her, so it's okay to go to the side of the screen. It's the best way to do it, in my opinion. Okay, so around this wave, I will go to the left. I will go to the middle because I can finish her off before the next wall comes. Alright, this spell is weird. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna, like, fire this weird triangle aimed thing at you. So just kind of dance around the screen, and everything should be fine. You can kind of move in like a triangle, which kind of helps, I guess. Yeah. Alright, now for this non-spell. This non-spell is weird because, like, the bullets are kind of moving in a not all of the bullets are aimed at you. Only a very few of them are, like the blue arrows. I don't know the nature of the green butterflies. I think those are just kind of random. The light blue arrows, don't even worry about them. They're aimed away from you, and they'll only come into play if you move too much. That's the key. You don't want to move too much. Alright. Now for Repository of Hirokawa, this is another static spell. It's just dancing between two safe spots. Learn where the safe spots are, and then stream your way to the next safe spot. You can also super graze this if you want, although since this is not a score run, I don't really care. Yeah, so just kind of memorize it. And it doesn't have a lot of HP, but she doesn't have her fan out, so it might be a little hard to damage her, but since it's so static, it's not really that much, it's not that much of a problem. This spell, however, is kind of a problem. So what I like to do is I try to misdirect it to the left first, and then slowly start streaming. She'll fire bubbles, and I don't really know the nature of the bubbles too much, because I know that they're aimed, but sometimes they don't feel like they're aimed. I feel like sometimes, like, maybe the way they aim depends on where you were when they were fired, but I swear sometimes they don't exactly aim at me. It's hard to explain. Anyway, yeah, this spell can be really hectic. You just gotta learn when to restream. Yeah, and there you go. Yay, we beat her! Wait, what? She still has a life bar? What is this madness? Yes, we're not done yet. We still have one more attack. Yeah, so this attack is a timeout. You can't kill it. You have to wait for the timer to end. It's hard to explain how to do this. You just have to kind of learn how to dodge the red butterflies. People have different ways of doing this. Some people like to hug the bottom and kind of react. I like to kind of be aggressive and move up. Just learn what works for you. The only real trick I can say is just play this spell a bunch. Just play it a bunch until you kind of get the hang of it. You can use Imperishable Knight's spell practice to play a variation of this spell. That wave was weird. Alright, we are approaching the final wave. Okay, and that is it for Perfect Cherry Blossom. Damn it! That mistake on Yomu was the only mistake in the run. This could have been perfect, but oh well, it's fine. I'm really happy with how this run came out. It was a pretty awesome run. Yeah. This is an amazing game. Alright. Now for the ending. I guess Zune doesn't want you to show the endings, so I'll just skip through it. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, who cares? If you want to watch the ending, you can go to the wiki, or I'm sure people upload it on YouTube and stuff like that, so yeah. Alright, so that was PCB. So, One thing about PCB that you might notice is that it's a lot different than EOSD, in the sense that PCB has this elegant feel to it that EOSD doesn't have. Like, EOSD is like a really raw game, while PCB is kind of like... PCB has more like of a beauty elegance feel to it. I know I just said elegant, but that's the impression I get from this game. Like, the patterns aren't so random as much as they have like a general design to them, like a general artistic feel. Like, whereas a lot of the hard random things in EOSD were just bullets flying everywhere, PCB kind of has like cool designs for a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the patterns in this game are also static, so it's a very different game. But it's also something I really like about this game, because this is one of the few Touhou games that I can really see progress in when I play, because since so much of this game is memorization, you can it's easy to really get the hang of things, and seeing progress and stuff like that. And yeah. So, as usual, if you liked this Let's Play, please feel free to subscribe, stay tuned, and spread the word. Thanks for watching. In the next episode, we will be doing the extra stage. Yeah. 00027. Yeah. There's normally 28 spells in this game, but since I failed that Yomu one, yeah. I guess I can save the replay. What should I name this? I guess I'll just name it Mino NN. NN is an abbreviation that people use for No Miss No Bomb. There's a lot of weird abbreviations that are used for some of the runs. Yeah. Yeah. I know, I just said yeah like 5 times. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.